Paradise. What a wonderful place. Place to be from, to be in, to be headed. And the last book in Dante's Inferno. Paradise, paradise. Paradise. Even the word itself sounds good. Always makes me happy. If you may notice, I have not introduced myself in all these other videos. Again, I don't do things like other people do things. But I think I'll take the time now. If you don't know who I am, or if you think you know who I am. My name is Christopher Joseph Michael Denolf Ball. My last name, my family took when they came to Ellis Island, to the United States. Their original name, the name in front of it, means the wolf. Michael I took as part of an initiation into my religious community called confirmation, which is the invoking of the Spirit of God to descend upon you and to fill you, and that you are purposely moving with Him. Joseph, my father gave me. Joseph, meek and humble. Joseph, most kind. Joseph, most patient. That sweet guy. Father of Jesus, foster father of the Christ. And Christopher. Christopher is a name that not everyone understands has a meaning. It's actually a phrase. It comes from Latin. And it is quite literally Christus Ferus, or the Christ I carry, or one who carries the Christ. Named for a man that is thought now to be more myth than an individual. In other words, the story is probably true, but maybe more than one person. And something that, if you're interested, there is history or mythology about his life. Usually condensed as one individual, but it's helpful to think of it maybe more than one person. But the long and short of the story is that this person carried the Christ in a moment when nobody else would, in a storm, in a trial, and didn't know that he was until it was revealed to him afterwards. Those names all signify something about who I am. They all have deep meaning to me, whether I chose them or not. Paradise. When I was a child, I thought as a child. I acted as a child. When I became grown, I put off the things of a child. Some of you may recognize those words as a paraphrasing from Paul. Paradise is one of those things that, as a child, there is a certain impression passed on to us. A way of thinking about your life, about how you live it, and quote unquote, where you're going. And the word paradise is very rarely used. Typically, we use the word heaven. In the language that they come from, in Latin, they have very different meanings. Heaven always is associated with the heavens. It also means the sky, that which is above us, the realms above where we do not go. But it's a very detached place, a place that you and I can't go to. At least when the Romans used it, when Latin was used, it was not a place where we could go. Paradise, on the other hand, is something entirely different. And the fact that Dante uses that instead of Caeli, instead of heaven or heavens, means so much. You see, paradise is here. In the religious community that I come from, in Christianity, we should have access to this thinking. We know this, but we do not believe it. There's a line, a phrase, where the Christ, the one that we say we follow, says where the kingdom of God is. And he says it's in you, not somewhere else, not some other place to go, in you. We have spent 2,000 years avoiding that fact, pretending that we are going somewhere. And as we did that, we denied our responsibilities and our care and concern that we should have for right here, right now. But paradise is right here, right now. At least the beginning of it. In Dante's story, as he describes this change in energetic state that I described, the descent all the way down to the bottom of hell, and then this resurrection journey out of purgatory from the depths up into paradise. What Dante is really describing is not some other place. It's inside of you. It's the journey of your soul. This internal journey into becoming your true self. And what he clearly indicates, and which every Christian should have access to, but they've lost this way, is that in that place is where you meet God, or the one who made you, or the divine being, or whatever you want to call him, the one who is. Ego sum, I am. We become so obsessed with looking for some reward, something down the road in the future, after we die, that we entirely miss the point of why we're here. Some few of us, through history, have remembered these things. Usually we're persecuted when a human being remembers these things. In religious communities, they're labeled a heretic, often burned. If not that, at least ostracized or imprisoned or in some way cut off, only to be discovered later. And there are many examples of this. There are other examples. All those communities of native people that wherever we went, we suppressed, but who already had this understanding of their connectedness with the one who made them. Not in the terms and in the ways that we use, but they knew it. And we did not value that. And we sought to uproot and to destroy this path with supreme hubris and arrogance, a pride that can only be ascribed to one other being, the one who first fell from the heavens, like stars falling from the sky. the disconnect between these ideas of a heaven that's some way in the future, down the road, a reward, and the detachment that it creates in the individuals that believe that. How they put off the care and concern for who's immediately in front of them, unless they belong to their community or think a certain way or fill in the blanks. The disconnect from that and the person who believes that the kingdom of God is within you, paradise is here, who is not satisfied with things being shitty, who strives, even in little ways, to change things and to heal the world around them, themselves, people, who's not satisfied with only people within their community who think they're the same way they do, belonging or getting to enjoy some reward. That difference is the difference in why the world sucks so bad, why it's such a shitty place. Because that other idea has primarily won out. And it is the ultimate betrayal of what is real and what is true. It's a goddamn motherfucking lie. A lie in large part perpetrated by the religion that I came from, because it embraced something, power, empire, a long time ago. Long before the separation of the churches and all the splintering that happened, long before Islam separated from us, a long time ago. And we forgot our way. We lost the truth. And we became obsessed instead with control and manipulation. Basically, all of the things that I experienced on a microcosm in my own personal life from the people around me, on the macrocosm, on the giant world stage, have been going on for hundreds of years. They're not new things. Nothing I experienced was new. It still sucks. It's still shit. And it's not okay. It's not okay that it happens. Paradise has no beginning and it has no end. It is just now. Forever now. And you find it when you find it. And this is the real reason that you're here. Every single one of us. And this journey will continue on generation after generation until we finally figure out that we're supposed to bring this paradise, not just within us, but out into this world. Even the individuals who have thought of paradise in this way have either not been successful or who have not necessarily thought of bringing it out into the greater world. At least not in a cohesive, organized way. There is a story, an allegory, a myth that is part of the Christian Bible. It's the last book of that Bible. It's called Revelation or Apocalypse, technically, in Greek. And it does not have the meaning that is ascribed to it. Even the word itself has taken on a meaning of destruction and violence. But in that story, there are many allegories that point to this. Now, you can read it however you want, like everything, just as you can take a person's words however you want. But the way that that book ends, that allegory, is about a new Jerusalem, is what it calls. A place with perpetual happiness, never-ending joy. That is a real place, and it describes it as descending from the heavens onto the face of the earth. An earth which it says is not to end, but to be remade. It's why, in the religious tradition that I come from, some small piece of this is held onto in the way that we end our prayers. Per omnia saecula saeculorum in Latin, which is to say, world without end. Again, Christians do not believe the things that their faith says. That the man, the Christ that came, God speaking to us, revealed. Oh, they'll believe anything else, anything but this. They need vengeance. They need bloodshed. They need someone to be destroyed to feel better about themselves. Just like every monster that ever lived in my life. Every monster that's ever lived in yours. Because it's the same story. It's a never-ending story until we end it. We. There's another misunderstanding in the tradition that I come from. Not so much among the Catholics that I came from, but certainly among all the other churches. Something that is constantly being repointed out by people. And that is that Yeshua, Jesus, his name is not Christ. It's not like a last name, Jesus Christ. The Christ is a sort of title, or more of a job description. It's like saying, oh yeah, mechanic, right? It has meaning. It tells you something about that person. Christ, too, has meaning. Christos, Christus, he who saves. And you see, what we don't talk about is that every person is called to be one. Not as a part-time thing. Not as a, I do this once a week on whatever day I think is holy. Not when I think about it, but every moment. In my story until now, through hell, through purgatory, the other thing that was growing was paradise. You see, even in the depths of hell, even in the darkness and the pain of purgatory, that thing was happening that I tried to describe at the end of the purgatory video. The seeds being planted, the forest that had grown up behind me. It's because I never gave up on love, right? And even when I was hurting the most, in the most pain, I had every reason to be vengeful. I always chose love. And that seems to be the secret. It's not enough. There's something more that I wasn't doing, that I didn't realize I was supposed to do because of my traditions and the way that I'd been taught about love. But I loved everybody else, and I poured myself out. Even when there was nothing left to pour, I poured it out for them. Even when they took, without asking, I still poured out. And I still do. Though sometimes it comes with a sharp sword. paradise finally flowered in me, I met heaven on earth, so to speak, and found God where he has always been. The one who is, the one who walks with me. Not because I'm special, but because this is the human thing. This is the human experience. What every single one of us is supposed to experience. And it was when my exterior persona, my ego, the things that we think of as me, right? Ego is a derivative of the Latin ego, right? Ego sum, I am. Ego, the me, the I. But it's not. There's something separately different and distinct deep within that is more me than the me that thinks I'm me. And that one always walks with the one who made him or her. And it wasn't until my ego, my persona, the outside of me, my outward expression of self, fell in love with the me that is truly me. It wasn't until that happened that all those seeds, that forest that had grown up, finally made sense. And I finally discovered paradise. Because you see, whether it's Dante's allegory or the story in Genesis, these things have always been about this internal journey. Older societies had this kind of thinking. They were less set in stone about how things had to be than we are now. But they desired less control over outcomes and how you do things and why. Ever since my church, ever since Rome, everything has been about control and domination. Yes, there's always been control and domination. The story of Cain and Abel is a perfect example of that. But not in the organized, societally leveled, superimposed way that we have, and that has been ever growing since then. And this is why people can't find paradise. There's no singular way into finding this, except that you must follow the way of the one who was called Christ. Everyone gets to this point somehow, some way. But your outward persona has to fall in love with who you are. This is why healing is so important. This is why this journey into discovering yourself and changing how you behave towards the people outside of you is so important, because those things are all blockages or things that restrict us from moving into this place. And the only reason that this life is not full of joy and laughter and love and pleasure is because we don't think that we play a role in this. We think that we're waiting for something to happen, when we've always been the key. The reason that Jesus in his time, Yeshua, says some very confounding things if you actually pay attention. But of course, Christians don't pay attention because it's far simpler and safer to avoid these difficulties. He says one line, which is fascinating. He says, "There are those who will come after me who will be greater than me." paraphrasing. I'm Catholic, so I don't do direct quotes. That one alone should be shocking and should give people great pause before they say some of the things that we say. There's the kingdom of heaven or God is within you. He also says something right before his death. And he says, keep in mind, Christians, all of us believe that he's God, right? But he says something that doesn't sound like he's talking like God. And he says, I do not know the day nor the hour of the return of the Son of Man. It's odd, right? Catholics explain it by saying, he has this separate experience where he suppresses his divinity so that he can only experience things as a human. And therefore, in his humanity, he does not know the future. He doesn't know what's going to happen. But yet, he's prophetic about so many other things, whether it's the sacking and destruction of Jerusalem that will follow shortly after he dies, what happens to the temple, all these different things. So why the hell doesn't he know this? The thing that I would like to present is because it's never been simply about God's will. God's will is always there. It's because we have to meet him halfway. And because we have not done this, we have refused in the stubborn belief that he's going to just swoop in without us doing shit. Kind of like that joke about the man drowning in the ocean, praying for God, and someone throws him a buoy to hold on to, and he refuses it. No, God's going to save me. Someone comes in a boat to save him, and he says, oh no, God's going to save me. And finally he drowns. And then he asks, has the audacity to say, how come you didn't save me, Lord? And he says, I sent you someone with a buoy. I sent you someone with a boat. Why didn't you take it? We're more stubborn than that. That guy looks like a saint compared to most of us. We're arrogant and presumptuous, all living in our egos, overinflated, for the same reasons most likely that I was when I was living in my super ego. It's not that ego is bad, but it needs to know its place. It needs to understand. The truth in what is real does not lie in the ego. And it's the voyage of discovering that. Odysseus's travels, the trials of Hercules, however people want to describe this journey. And we've described it in so many different ways through our mythologies, through our religions, all through human history. But this journey, all of us individually, all of us united together as one doing this. This is how the world is healed. It means letting go of a great many things that we hold sacrosanct. Things that, if you knew their history, you would be reticent to hold on to. But we are not just unknowledgeable, we are unwise. We do not cultivate these things. Wisdom is not appreciated or valued. We think knowledge is the end-all be-all, and yet we're overwhelmed by data and information and numbers, and know next to nothing about how to use them. We end up just weaponizing them, beating other people over the head, trying to make ourselves look good and cut down others. You can see it in every level of society, whether it's a corporation and how it treats its people, people grabbing their phone to prove you wrong in a moment, looking up this and looking up that, but without any understanding. I had a recent exchange with a family member in which there was a misquoting of scripture, of something that is supposed to have very distinct meaning. And the point is not about this argument, but about just that this is another piece of evidence of how we want to attack and to cut down. We do not want to understand and to have wisdom. We don't really want to follow the truth in what is real. We think we do. Thinking you're something, though, is an egoistic thing. It's not. You have to go through this journey of discovering yourself, of slicing the ego down, killing it. Only you don't really completely kill it, but it's always a reduction, until the ego and the true self are united again. And they walk hand in hand. And again, it's not in the mind. The ego is obsessed with thinking about things, overanalyzing. This is why data and knowledge appeal to it. But the heart, the throne room, where the one who is resides, that every spiritualist that ever existed in my religion, every mystic, every John of the Cross and Teresa of Avila and Teresa of Lisieux, and if you don't know these names, there's a deep meaning and an undercurrent, something separate going on from religion. True religion, though, very much in line with that. As the Apostle James said, true religion, undefiled, is to honor the widow and to clothe the orphan, and I'm going to forget this whole quote because I tried to use it. You can look it up. It's in his one letter that he wrote. It's a good one, though. Religion pure and undefiled. That's right. That's how he says it. These people were all like that. And in that way, you can find that religion all over the place. So paradise. It's here. It's not some freaking other place. Stop beating your neighbor and slitting their throat and saying, oh, it'll all be made up for later. There'll be an accounting later. No, you're here to discover this same truth. The same truth that Jesus Christ recognized and came to understand. You know, that short line where it says, and he went home and was subject to them in all things and grew in grace and knowledge. We like to skip over that one too. How the hell does the one who is God grow in anything? Oh, the things we try and gloss over. The uncomfortable truths. Paradise is meant to be shared, and it is meant for everybody. So let's not stop sitting on our asses, being satisfied with bullshit and shit. And let's fucking change the world, ladies and gentlemen. People may think of themselves, or of me for saying this. Who are we, or who are you, to say such a thing? The question is, who the hell are you not to? Why do you think so little of yourself? What kind of insignificant person do you think you are? The truth is, you don't value and love yourself. And that's what it all comes down to. If there's one lesson more important than all the others, it was this interchange of love. To never give up on it. To love even when it was inconvenient or seemed stupid. And to finally learn how to love yourself. Really and truly and honestly. After doing healing and slaying that ego so that it didn't stand in the way and taint this love. Dirty the waters. If we all learn to walk this path, the healing of the rest of the world comes naturally. I know, though, that The vision that I have and the thing that I made a pact with the one who made me when I was 4 years old, a deal that he sealed, is that there are many who can heal individuals, and they all need to wake up and to start doing this work. But without greater healing, societal level, cultural, national, continental healing, then all of these systems that we have put in place through our history will try and drag us back, will try and hold us, pin us in place in the truly narcissistic, abusive way that these systems have developed. It's no accident that every captain of industry that you can name in this United States and in every country in the world is a narcissistic pig. It's no accident. If you want to imitate them and you want to be like them, God have mercy on you, for you have sold your soul, worse than Esau to Jacob. This is the original sin in its grown-up version. All the time we've been trying to describe what the fuck this thing is that happened in this myth, in this story. It's the thing that explains why Cain kills Abel. We have a hard time describing this thing. Shit, we only defined it, narcissism, in the 80s, right? It entered the diagnostic manual, I think in the 80s. But it's always fucking been here. Whether it's the story of the gods in Greek mythology or Norse mythology or whatever the fuck it is, all over the place. We are describing this behavior, this monstrous, destructive behavior. And I got a front row seat. I got to live through it. The monster is either in some way using the tools of, or is truly themselves a narcissist. And that is the thing that we need to heal. Not, you can look up videos now about narcissism, and everybody wants to identify every person that lies or manipulates or does anything that is a tool of a narcissist as being narcissistic. The true narcissist is something far greater, far worse. Believe me. Far worse. It's our job to undo those things, to heal this world. Heal each other. Even the monster. Like I've tried to explain all along, I don't condemn them. I know who they are. I know how they get where they're going. I started down that path myself. I know that they're hurt, and they have no understanding of what the things that we're talking about. Everything is hopeless to them. And it's the saddest thing that any person can experience. So don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on each other. Don't give up on the things around us. Let's change them. Rebuild them. Remake them. In some cases, they might need to be burned down. Certain organizations and institutions and restarted because they're so corrupt that they need to be started from a foundational level. But not people. They need healing. So come, join me. Let's go to paradise. Preferisco, Paradiso. That's Italian for I prefer paradise. It's also the title of a movie about a man that I really respect, an Italian man. It's a retelling of a story that in our religious community had been told in a certain way that nullified his real impact and neutered the earthiness and the humility of this man and turned him into some purified, saintly character. If you ever get a chance, it's worth watching. One of my favorite movies. In Italian, so you have to deal with subtitles. But Preferisco Paradiso. I prefer paradise. And I sure hope you will too. It will change the whole world if we do that. One other little tidbit, piece of information that I find fascinating, you might too. I said in my Purgatory video that, Dante has a guide in his journey. And I have a guide. It ends up, I discover it's my heart, right? But it's also trying to find my heart in other people. And, I talked about these pivotal characters, including the last person, right? That unrequited love that finally opened me up to the realization of true love of myself. And the character in Dante's book, her name is, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to do this right now. Oh my God, what's your name? I can't believe I just did this. Beatrice. Oh my God, wow. There's a moment. I'm actually distantly, but related, cousin through my paternal line of the real woman who was, so Dante also had an unrequited love, mostly because he was a commoner and she was nobility, but Beatrice was a real person in history. She's part of a famous family called in Italian it would be De Est. In English we would say the Est or Este family with an E at the end, I think, which is a derivative of a Latin word, which is est, E-S-T. It's the verb of being or the noun of being. So when God says, I am, he's saying, ego sum, sum es, sumus esti sum, the declension of this word in Latin. And est is the he, she, or it is. So it's literally the family name means the ones who are. And she belonged to that family. There's a famous time period that Dante grew up in, and there's a conflict between two branches of this family. How are we going to pronounce this? I think it's Guelphs and Ghibellines, or Guelphs. And anyway, there's a giant civil war between the two branches, and that's part of the story of Dante and Beatrice. But it's also an unrequited love, which I found fascinating. So, there you go. Anyway, we're at 45 minutes, and I planned on keeping this shorter. Didn't end up going a lot shorter, so my apologies. But I hope you find this challenging. And if you don't, I hope you find it enlightening, possibly connecting pieces that you already know. But whatever you find it, I hope that it leaves you different and not the same. There are many things to unpack. Paradise does not end. And so, just as the work of bringing paradise is not done, the stories and the ways of describing and how we get there and the things that we can do personally are almost immeasurable. So walk with me as I do these videos. They're not necessarily going to have a chronology to them. I will, because I move intuitively, by and large, I will move into certain subject matter that I feel called to move into. And so the logic that is there is something other than my own ego's logic. It is the thing that I am moving with, the one who walks with me. And so whatever I'm called to, that I will talk about. And there are many things. I feel called to say this. Not that I am not special, but I am not any different than you. I just happen to be you that woke up from a sleep. I happen to be the you that's not afraid to say things that people might take to be pride or arrogance or whatever they want to take it to be. I'm also the you who's not worried about analyzing and overthinking anymore, or needing to have an explanation and a reason for everything I do. I'm the you that's learning how to be my natural self, like we were made from the beginning. And so if you can latch on to that idea, I think it would go a long way in you understanding why I'm doing this, and that this is not something remote or different from you. It's what you're supposed to be like. In some version, you're your own person. Your ego and the expression of this will be different. Your gifts, your talents, how you talk and think. But stop blocking the work of the one who is. He's in all of us. You've just been stopping him. Don't. Become a channel of his peace. Where there is hatred, sow love. Where there is doubt, faith, injury, pardon. This is part of my favorite prayer. It comes from a man, Francis from Assisi. Become that person. Become the Christ. I love you. Learn to love yourself. Almost sort of forget this line. How did I say it? And remember, be human. What else is there?